Hello everybody, my name is Starrapter and welcome to my spoiler-free review for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This is the second streaming MCU series on the platform following WandaVision, and this deals with the aftermath of that big decision of Sam Wilson accepting the shield from Steve Rogers' Captain America. The whole point of this show, these 6 episodes, about 45 minutes to an hour long, is really deciding, is Sam Wilson going to take up the mantle of Captain America? But we also have some other things going on. We have the side character of Bucky, aka Winter Soldier. Of course, he is no longer being programmed as the Winter Soldier, but he is going along the way with his help of his therapist to make amends, going over all the people he has wronged and try to come to grips with what he has done in the past, because he does have consciousness of what he did in the past doing these different missions, which were not very good. And of course, we have a brand new Captain America that joins the fray, and her name is John Walker. And this character is being paraded around by the US government following the blip when, half of the world just randomly reappeared again. So there's a lot of injustices going on around the world. And that's where the villains come into play, called the Flag Smashers, led by Carly Morgenthau. And she is, if a teenager, if not maybe a young adult, and she has been displaced, and she is leading this group of revolutionaries called the Flag Smashers to get back at this global government, which is doing things wrong. And that is really the show in a nutshell. Is you're going to have the paths of the Flag Smashers cross with Bucky, cross with John Walker, as well as Sam Wilson. So getting into my positives for this 6-episode series is, first off, cinematic action. We open up with this fantastic Marvel, what you would expect from Marvel, as a very cool, high octane, going through the canyons. You have Falcon with the suit that he flies around with, and you have people just skydiving. Very cool stuff there. You're seeing a lot of awesome hand-to-hand combat that, for me, I didn't expect it to be so violent for something on Disney Plus. Even for just the MCU in general, there's a lot of broken bones, a lot of blood in this. You see people getting killed, but it's not super grotesque, but just there is death in this, and the way that they handle it, I think, is pretty good. The character stories for me are the strongest point. Seeing how we're getting characters that have lives outside of fighting crime. You're seeing how maybe they don't get paid for being in part of the Avengers. They have to deal with doing the mundane task of things such as fixing up boats and trying to get loans for help. Stuff like that, which really grounds these characters more to reality. And the fact that we get to spend this much time with some of these minor characters that maybe didn't get that chance to have the spotlight in, obviously Sam Wilson plays second fiddle to Steve Rogers in all of those Captain America movies. But now we get this focus on him as well as Bucky. We get these gray characters, right? Like Carly Morgenthau is an interesting character in that what she thinks she's doing is the right thing, but maybe she is doing it a little bit more extreme, adding violence to try to get to her point, which does make her irredeemable. I think the ramifications of the blip is another shining example of how this really interweaves itself in what is happening with the movies, and seeing how we're going to get 6 episodes of a TV series. They can have more time to play around with things such as that, which is something I really appreciate. So getting into the things I didn't like about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is, first off, just the Flag Smashers in general. I thought they were kind of weak for having that kind of villain vibe in this show, even though they weren't really villains. What they were doing just didn't really resonate with me a whole lot. It didn't really bring any kind of gravitas. I feel like Carly Morgenthau, I like the actor a lot. She was in Solo: A Star Wars Story as Memphis Ness, but I just didn't think that the character of her character was really being able to be imposing against somebody like Captain America. They take these superhero serums, but they still retain the same size. They're not growing like Steve Rogers did in that horrible way. So, and if maybe these chemicals are a little bit better, obviously, because you don't have to go into that crazy chamber. But still, I just don't think, every time they change the camera to these people, what the Flag Smashers were doing in their own perspective, it just kind of slowed down the pacing and whatnot. Overall, I will give the Falcon and Winter Soldier a score of a 7 out of 10. So this was supposed to come out before WandaVision until the pandemic broke out. And that is why I think it was good that WandaVision did come out first, because I think that sets the standard for what Marvel shows can do, as create something that's unique, something that, you know, makes you really interested about what's happening the following week. And since we got that in WandaVision, now I'm comparing WandaVision to this, which isn't apples to apples technically, because it's more like apples to oranges. In fact, this is only 6 episodes, more focused event series versus a 9-episode series, but nonetheless, they're both Marvel series on Disney Plus. I think WandaVision, there was a lot more buzz going around that because there was a lot more mystery involved. I think what we're getting in the Falcon and Winter Soldier is a story that is what we would expect from a Marvel TV series for the most part. It's going to have a big budget for those action sequences, like flying around, especially with Falcon and his wings and all those crazy velocity movements going on. But when it comes down to the plot, it got a little bit messy. We're not really seeing great detail on what exactly is going on with this new government. They kept mentioning the borders and whatnot. I think they glossed over that too fast. I think they should have spent a little bit more time on exactly why we should really care about the Flag Smashers, because in the end of it, I feel like they are very forgettable. I feel like a lot of things in this series will be forgettable, unfortunately, but what I will always tell people to watch this series for is the character development in 3 characters, and that is Sam Wilson, that is Bucky, and that is John Walker. I think coming out of this series, whether or not we get a season 2, whether or not we go into another movie with these characters, is at least with this season, we are able to focus enough on these characters more than we ever have before to really understand them more. And I come away from watching this series with having a much greater appreciation of Sam Wilson and a much greater appreciation of Bucky, not as just side characters, but as fully fledged and layered characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So yes, I would definitely recommend watching this series, because I think, just like anything else in the MCU, it will connect with everything, obviously. But if you're a fan of just like good old action, you're going to have a lot to love in this, because there is some pretty cool set pieces, not just involving flying around. There's some really, really cool new cities and whatnot are also explored. Some other surprising cameos as well. So what did you guys think of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Let's talk about it in the comment section down below. For my review on WandaVision, you could check that out on the channel, as well as many other reviews on things such as movies and lots of Star Wars content. Make sure you go ahead and keep it locked on the channel simply by subscribing, so you never miss out on any content that's coming out in the future. That is going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.